This episode of the Restoration Today podcast is brought to you by Core Restores at corerestores.com. Did you know contents can save insurance carriers and customers 30% or more versus total replacement costs? The ability to restore personal items after a loss offers additional revenue for your company and valuable emotionally connected service for your customers. Core has been doing contents restoration and packouts for 25 years and counting as partners with restoration companies of all shapes and sizes. Learn more at corerestores.com. Hey there, Restorers. Thanks for checking out a fresh episode of the Restoration Today podcast. Today we're here to have some fun. I am joined by a great friend in the industry, Rocky Hensley. He is behind Wonton Plumber, and he also works on the restoration side of things, Icon Restoration. So I'm excited to have him here today. We're going to share some stories and some laughs. He has a few jokes and funny stories about hunting and things that other fellow restorers can absolutely relate to, and I know that. So we're here to have fun and kind of shoot the shit, as Rocky would say. So Rocky, thank you very much for joining me. I'm going to toss it over to you and have you introduce yourself and share your background of how you got into the industry, because you've been here for a while, but you have, I know, a prior career path that like a lot of people in the industry. So talk about yourself.
Hey, how's it going, guys? What's up, Michelle? My name's Rocky Hensley. I own Icon Property Rescue, which is based in Cincinnati. I've owned 3 1-800 Pack-Out franchises, 859 Board Up. I've done a lot of stuff in the restoration industry, built and sold 10 businesses that are not related to the restoration industry. Built Wonton Plumber. The plumber whose name is his number is a bolt-on to a restoration piece that's doing okay for us and stuff like that. But been in the restoration business for 20 years. It's never been a build and sell. I love the restoration industry. I love the friends and the really family that I have in the restoration industry now. And that's my pathway and somebody asked me when I will retire, and that's when they like grab a hold of my hair and pull my head off the desk, so yeah. So this is what I'm going to do until the end, I guess, so I'm 57. So hopefully that's a ways away, so got a little nervous talking about it there. So yeah.
You've got lots of time left. My husband jokes with me the same thing. He's like, he's going to retire as soon as he can. And he's like, yeah, my wife's never retiring. She's going to do this literally till they put her on the ground. I'm like, yeah, I love doing it. Why wouldn't I?
Yeah. Everybody I know that retires, their job becomes going to the doctor. And I don't want to, I want to have a purpose. I want to have a mission. And I've always been a high energy person. I just couldn't imagine doing, nothing. So yeah, kind of like you.
Yep.
So.
Okay, share about your recent hunting trip. I want to go there. I don't even want to talk business first. I want to hear about your recent hunting trip and what you were up to.
I'm an avid hunter. I love traveling. And I went to Canada, to Saskatchewan, Canada. And it's Saskatchewan, actually. If you've ever been there, it is just remote. We even, like where I was hunting, 8 miles out into some pretty dense forest from the hunting camp, And but I do have quite a funny story, I guess, in a sense. But I was out hunting. I saw several bear out there, and they're coming in. They just getting out of hibernation, so they're hungry and they're breeding and they're moving around a lot. So I saw a lot of bear, and I saw a couple big ones, but I was waiting for that big monster, right? And I had just gotten this new crossbow, and I was dying to try it out in the woods. And I see this one moving in the woods, so I couldn't really make him out very well. So I pull my crossbow up because it's got a scope on it, and I'm looking at it and I'm like, oh, that's a 350, 400 pound bear. I was so excited, and I watched it for 15 minutes, and he kind of was almost coming out of the woods, and then he was going back in, and I'm like, if he steps out, I'm nailing him. I'm putting him down. This is my big trophy. This is my big trophy one. And, we're good to go. Okay. So I'm telling myself, you got to make a good shot. You may not get another opportunity. I'm just lasered in and I'm focused. And he steps out. And as soon as he steps out and I got the open shot, boom, I take it. I put him down. I'm like, I see him. He's about 30 yards out and he's, rolling around. It's kind of, I'm just barely seeing him and stuff like that. So I wait about an hour. I get out of the tree and I go up to him. And it's a 100-pound bear. And I'm like, how? I'm looking around to see if I found the wrong bear, And I'm like, how's this possible? I know bear. This is my fourth bear I've killed. I just don't get it. So I go back up in the tree, and I'm packing my stuff up, and I look, and I notice the scope on my crossbow says magnified 3.5 times. it's like son of you gotta be kidding me. So I never actually saw the bear except in the scope of my crossbow.
Okay.
So, and then I got back, and the guys in the camp, because there were several guys that just killed some monsters throughout the throughout the week, and they were just taunting me and making fun of me, and they call it ground shrinkage, is what they call it. But one of the guys said the funniest thing though. He's like, he'd come out, he looks at the bear, and he goes, "Wow, you can still see the milk from the mom's tit on it." So I'm like, that's so, it just hurts, man, But these guys at these hunting camps, they're just absolutely relentless, So
Yes.
I killed it on the early on, so I literally for 3 days just had to be tormented the whole time about this 100-pound monster, that I killed. Actually, it was small enough to where I actually felt guilty about it a little bit, but it was. But I will tell you that the trip, the hunt, the scenery, it is. Words can't describe how beautiful it is up there. Yeah, and it's what you picture, the wilderness used to look like up in northern Saskatchewan. It's absolutely beautiful. So, but yeah, Michelle, it wasn't pretty, honestly.
Doesn't sound like it. That's a pretty little hate to say. So what other kind of hunting trips have you been on? Like, have you been to Colorado to hunt elk? Like, have you done all the things?
I've been all over the place. I went alligator hunting in spring and killed a 10-foot 4-inch alligator, which was really cool. I've antelope hunt in Wyoming. Done a lot of wild boar hunting. I love wild boar hunting. I've hunted them with knives. I know people are like spears, and I'm like, that's for sissies, man. I use a knife and a couple of dogs, and I will tell you though, that is brutal. It's primal. It is absolutely primal. But they're vicious creatures, man. They come after you. It ain't as easy as you think, So, but I just love. But here's the thing: I love the hunting part of it. Like, I hunted an antelope for 4 days. I love being in the woods. I actually, my tree stand or whatever, I actually get mad when it gets dark. I could literally sit in the woods all day. And if anybody is out there listening and just wants to talk hunting, please call me. Make sure you got a good half an hour though, because I talk your ear off about hunting. So yeah, just love it.
So do you have a whole game room in your house? I mean, so my father-in-law and my husband are avid hunters. My husband's not been on a lot of trips, but he has hunted boar, and they both have like the heads mounted with like they're right. So ugly. I'm like, why? And my mother-in-law teases me like, that's going to be in your house one day. No, it's not. So
yeah, I have a room. My wife calls it the dead animal room. And what I did was I made a deal when we were building the house, because I knew I wanted it, was I got the basement and she gets the rest of the house. So when I was doing the basement, I built myself as she calls it, a dead animal room, which now I have to expand on. But it's funny because I think she outsmarted me because she knew the kids were actually going to take the basement. So I didn't actually get the basement until the kids left for college and stuff. So I spent the better part of 15 years planning what I was going to do when I finally got the basement, So, yes. And every guy out there is probably going, "Yep, I know exactly what you're talking about, buddy." Yeah. So
kids have to have somewhere to go. That's what the basement's for.
Exactly. So, but it was fun. It was fun putting it together, and my wife kids around about it. But everybody out there that's an avid hunter knows that those are memories hanging on the wall, not really trophies. They're called trophies, but every hunt has a story behind it. So yeah, it's a lot of fun. I just love being out in the woods and away. And the other thing was too that I didn't realize, but I was disconnected. I had no cell phone service. I had no internet. For 1 week, I was off the grid. And
sounds great.
The first 2 days, I think I was actually a little twitchy. I was joking. Yeah. By the 5th day or 6th day, I didn't ever want to reconnect again. It was absolutely liberating. So it's a different way. You just forget how dependent on your phone you were. So,
Absolutely dependent.
But if
Okay.
anybody gets a chance, get up there, get disconnected. It's
Yes.
it's a good reboot.
Yes, I totally agree with that. I've had a few opportunities to do stuff like that, and it is really helpful. And then you don't want to reconnect. You're like, no, I'm good. We're just gonna
Yeah.
I'm good now. This is way more peaceful. I feel a lot better about myself.
When we were driving back to Saskatchewan Airport, and I guess we got about the halfway point, give or take, my phone just started going off. Emails. I mean, it's like bing, 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 bing. I literally had to turn it on silent because for a good 5 minutes, which seems like a long time when you're driving, it just kept binging and binging and binging and binging. So yeah, it was. I was like, darn it.
Yeah. And then you're trying to play catch up at some point. It's like,
say that again.
And then it's like playing catch up at some point. It's like, I don't.
It was really hard because you 600 emails. I think I had close to 300 texts. I was part of conversations where people are texting back and forth, and but that's the life we live now. So it is what it is. But
Yeah.
But I will tell you, it was amazing, and got to see the Northern Lights.
Oh, I'm jealous. I grew up in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, so I should have gotten to see them at some point, but I have not seen them, and I would love to.
It's one of the coolest things I've ever seen, actually, and they were pretty good while I was up there. One night, we were getting a lot of the smoke from the forest fires up there.
Mm-hmm.
So even though it was sunny, it seemed a little overcast a couple of days. But when the wind would shift at night, you could see the Northern Lights pretty well, and they're just spectacular. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, talk about Wonton Plumber a little bit. Explain, because it's a newer brand, but an explosive brand. I mean, for anybody that's listening to this, if you want to keep an eye on a brand that is growing like wildfire, that might be a terrible analogy in our industry, so sorry, but growing like crazy, Wonton Plumber is a perfect example of going from 0 to 60 in no time at all. So share a little bit of background. It's not been around that long, where you're at today.
I'll give you the quick, unboring, or try and keep it as less boring as possible. But we just wanted to, we built Icon Property Rescue on Plumber business, and then they started becoming our competition. Roto-Rooter's based in Cincinnati, where I'm at. They were a huge piece of our business, and I wanted to go head to head with them. So we created Wonton Plumber, the plumber whose name is his number, which is basically 1-866 Plumber. And started using it here. And actually, Chuck DeWalt, we brought him in for a private, drying training, and he saw what we were doing and saw that we were shifting over to almost all commercial, which we're about 80% commercial, which means no insurance companies usually, which is amazing. And he basically threatened to hit me with his baseball bat if I didn't start sharing this with other people. He sounded like he was joking, but Chuck, you never actually know if he's joking. He might have taken his baseball bat. So we started looking into franchising it, and we went live April 4th of 2021 with the franchise. So we just celebrated our second anniversary, and we've signed 38 franchises all the way from Phoenix, Salt Lake City, Utah, Chicago, Rochester, New York, Long Island, Atlanta. We've got 2 states that are sold. Oklahoma. We've got Oklahoma City and Tulsa that are gone, and then South Carolina is all gone. We're signing Columbia June 23rd, which will be 39, and then we've got 40 getting ready to sign, which is Fort Lauderdale. So I can't believe it. We'll be up to 40 within right at 2 years. And then we've got 8 people we're negotiating with right now. So I'd be really surprised, Michelle, if we don't have 50 franchises literally by the end of July. And you see us at the conventions and stuff. We do a lot of traveling with you, and there's a lot of interest, and it's been honestly, we had no idea. Our first year, we were going to be happy if we did 5. And we turned the corner with 18. So it was just, but there's just such a need out there to get away from the TPAs and move into the commercial water damage space, which is what this is. It just brings so much brought $3 million of commercial water damage into us here in Cincinnati, and
Wow.
yeah, so which is where you and I both know that's the the bread and butter to our
Yeah.
industry. So um,
Where are most of your new franchisees coming from? Are they coming from you going to trade shows, or a lot of it referrals? Like, where are you getting most of them?
it's almost all referrals now. So it's just word of mouth, honestly, right now. Or one of the things I absolutely love about our restoration industry is the networking. You
Hmm.
know, I've got friends in the restoration industry all over the country. You know, and people I travel with and hang out with and meet up with. And some of them I only see at the hunting camps. But so that's what I love about our industry, and honestly, that's what's made it. You called it, I think you said, explosive growth, and that's honestly what it is. And keep in mind too, April of last year through June 20th, we had to shut down. We weren't taking any calls, so 3 of those months we weren't even selling franchises because we didn't realize it was going to take off so quick, and we literally had to scale before we could take on any more. So.
And you also don't just take on anybody. I think that's important to understand as well. It's not like you've had explosive growth because everybody who applies, you said, sure, come on board, right? So, what does your process look like for vetting your potential franchisees? Who fits, who doesn't?
That's actually a really good question. We have about a 42% turn down rate, and it's not financial. We turned down a $30 million a year company out of Texas. I won't tell you who that was, but and it's really about fit. It's about people who are going to come in and help the restoration industry, help the brand, really want to get into the commercial piece, and network and become part of a national brand, and a national networking group. I guess you could use the DKIs and stuff like that, where we don't want to go to that level, but definitely where everybody's helping each other. One of the great programs we have is we call it a mirror and a mentor. The guys who are mentoring the new guys coming in, not just on the wonton Plumber brand, but also on how to get more commercial water damage, how they've figured it out. And then we have a mirror, which means two people that start at the same time are usually going through the same things together, on their restoration and on the wonton Plumber. So those guys get together once a month and help each other out. So we want to make sure we bring in people who are really good networkers, who are looking out for each other. We always say, "Am I my brother's keeper?" And if we don't think that you're going to be, and you're just kind of in it for yourself, you're just not somebody that would be a good fit for our brand and where we're trying to go with it.
And I know that you've done a lot also to be attractive to women, not just as customers, but also I know you have some women franchise owners as well. So talk about that and kind of the draw that you've created with how you've created and built the brand itself as it relates to women and making both like the customers comfortable and drawing in women franchisees.
Well, fortunately, I'm in Cincinnati where Procter and Gamble is, okay, and Chelsea Johnson Wax. These are all literally companies that do a lot of branding, obviously with Crest and Tide and Palmolive and all these other things. So there's so many support companies here that I was able to hitch on to that helped us put this together. And one of the things that we realized on the commercial space, especially like property managers, warehouse, and the gatekeeper is always a woman. Okay, 83% of all calls come in are women. So we wanted to appeal to women because that's our customer base. And the other thing that it did, though, that we didn't necessarily see is that it wasn't just the customers that were women, but people. There's a lot of women getting into the restoration industry, and they don't feel like they're being represented, a lot, because it's a very male, older white male dominated field for the most part,
Yes.
So I guess we appeal to them because we got 3 and we'll have 5 women owned wonton plumbers, so my wife loves that, by the way. She's all about, yeah. So it's been awesome. We've got 4 minorities. It's been a lot of fun, and we got a a lot of diversity and women, and we're just having a lot of fun with it.
So how are you handling the explosive growth? I mean, you talked about even just turning off sales for a few months last year,
Yep.
and that takes a lot of kind of guts and ownership to say, no, we're not going to sell right now, because that's a very big decision to make, to say we're going to stop selling. So
It's a great question. And one of the advantages I've had, I mean, all of us out there that own businesses, including yourself, have all been kicked in the teeth a couple of times here and there. And you're like, oh, I won't do that anymore. One of the things that I learned early on, and it was awesome, it was a great lesson for me, is to hire before you need people. Okay. We didn't do that or couldn't do that fast enough because, we were planning on 5 and we ended up with 18. Okay.
Yep.
But so we, took a step backwards to take 2 forward. So now we hire ahead of time. And truth, I mean, we just had this meeting on Monday. We're hiring right now for August, like where we think we're going to be in August. Okay. And like I said, I've grown and sold 10 businesses along the way. And one of them was 175 employees. And that was the way I did that. And it worked out great. And you also get to try people, as you're a businesswoman. You don't always find the right person, the first time. So if you're hiring for August and you hire someone now, you usually know within 2 to 3 weeks, you kind of can move that person out and then try the next one. So by the time August gets here, you've got the right people, you've got them trained. There's no pressure on them to learn as fast as possible. And you can bring them in the right way and train them the right way and spend some time on what the brand means and where it's at with the customers and the customer experience before they really get thrown into the fire. So, and that's the way we built the other businesses, and that's the way we're doing this one. So, and it's been working out great since we had to kind of pause for a minute. So good question.
I totally get that. I had a mentor tell me last year, once you hire your first full-time person, you're off to the races. And that's kind of what I experienced. And then it was, from one person to, I don't know how many people I'm at now, 7, 6, I don't know.
Yeah.
7. I have to think about it. But anyway, it grows really fast once you start going. And then it's like, oh, shit. Okay, wait, I'm not ready. So I don't know. Okay, you must have some other interesting stories. What about an interesting loss that Icon has handled maybe, or an interesting loss that one of your franchisees has handled?
Well, I got a couple of those. We do the crime and trauma here at Icon, and we have had jumpers, a lot of jumpers, crime and trauma. We've got about a 50-story building downtown that seems to be a place 3 or 4 times a year where people want to end things. And one of them went off a different side than normal. And it was one of those kind of where that roof is 10 stories up. Instead of, heading for the ground, they hit an air conditioning unit on the way down. And it's not like it is in the movies when someone jumps. I'm sorry to get too deep. I won't get too deep into this, but they literally explode. Okay. Yeah. It's not like the movies where they're laying there all cool. And this one hit the air conditioning unit and then went into the floor below it and into someone's office. But as they hit the person in the office at the time, they went right through the roof, through the air conditioning unit, and parts of them went into the office underneath. But so we go in, we clean. It took probably 2 or 3 days, and then we get a call back 2 weeks later saying that a roof guy was up in the repairing the roof, and you need to come back because he found a hand. It's like, okay, we're on our way. So apparently we missed a hand one time when we were cleaning up from one of those jumpers. So that was, yeah. And then the worst one though, and I had to pay big time, was we're on the river, Ohio River, Cincinnati is, and so we have a lot of Barge restaurants. And Hooters actually, the sewer pipe broke and the barge was sinking and they didn't know why. So they called the company, and the company came in and said, well, it's because all your sewer is going into the barge. And it's literally, so we had to get our guys down in there to pump it out. And it was literally 7 feet of sewage in that barge. So we had to pump it out and clean it out on, like, basically we had to rent rowboats inside the barge on 7 feet of sewage. And
Okay, that's really
we made a
awful.
lot of money, but I will tell you, before we got paid, it cost us a lot of money because the guys, we had to bring some people in and stuff. But that was not one that we were ever. We had to be like Marines. We had to improvise. We had to overcome. Because it was that one was an absolute. And those barges, if you don't know anything, they're 200 feet long.
Yeah.
7 feet deep. So it was a 3-month process.
So how do you have employees that are willing to do jobs like this for you? Like, were you giving them extra pay for a job like this? Or are they just like, no, and they're fine?
Yes. We were giving them 3 times what we were paying. We were bringing people in from other, cities. Anyone that would come and do it we would pay pretty much whatever they wanted in order for them to come and do it. Because it was vile. Because not only is it, but the smell. They're all putting big salve on their noses before they go under there. They've got the waders on. It went a lot easier once we got it down to 4 feet because they could put those the ones, the trout fishing waders.
Yes.
Yeah, everybody was in those. And once they could get out of the boat and into the barge, it went a lot easier. But it was crazy. It was, now I look back on it, I chuckle, but at the time it was a colossal undertaking. So.
That's awful. And what time of year was this? I mean, I've been in Cincinnati in the summer and it's freaking miserable. So
you'd open that lid and you'd have to step away for a minute, and we couldn't put enough Vic Sav on our noses.
No. That sounds terrible. That's potentially the best sewage job I've.
It was a rough one, but man, we made a bunch of money on it too, though. So it did have a happy ending once the check came.
A happy ending.
Yeah.
Did the insurance company cover it, or was this like who does pay?
Oh yeah. It was Chubb, as a matter of fact. So, which I like working with Chubb. They were pretty good. Yeah.
I was watching a thread on one of the Facebook groups the other day, and everybody was talking about Chubb and saying that was like their favorite out of any of the carriers or whatever. That was the one that was consistently top of comments as the best to work with. So
yeah, it was a horrible job, but they definitely normally insurance companies make it even worse. They did not. So that was if there's a silver lining, it was the fact that we were working with them. But let's call it a brown lining, I guess you could say.
Okay, any more stories? We have like a couple more minutes. So anything else that you think?
Other than just travel, man, I'm just I was really kind of not wanting to work this hard, honestly, and I just I wanted to travel for fun, but it seems like I'm always getting on a plane right now because we do all the signings at their place and stuff like that. So it's just been a little bit crazy. So that would probably be the hardest thing for you. You got 2 youngins, right?
Yes, and so I honestly tell myself so. I shouldn't play the comparison game, but I do try to give myself grace because I look around at the other entrepreneurs around me, and I am a minority in the fact that I have very little kids. Most people that are running businesses at this point, like their kids are a little older, a little self-sufficient, right? Like my 9-year-old is, my 4-year-old is not. And I love him to death, but he is hell on wheels. He is the stereotypical second child. He is so much work. Like when he's quiet, he's up to something that's no good at all. So, my 9-year-old is fine, but it is hard to leave when you have littles that require so much. And like our babysitter is going off to college this fall, and I'm like, I haven't even like thought about trying to get a new babysitter because that's a big undertaking. And travel's a lot. I enjoy it. I've tried to, you have Cameron working with you, right? And I've tried to get my kids, like I took Levi with me to a core event in February, and that was fun. So he could start meeting people and see what mom does instead of mom just going off all the time. Where's mom going now? So I don't know. It's good. I think I like teaching them that moms can work and have careers too, and there's a balance and all that. I think that's an important lesson in today's world too. So I don't know.
Be a tough balance. I know. I've watched so many of your podcasts, but people don't really know about Michelle Blevins. I see her out there on the road. We spend 5 and 6 days together sometimes at these shows, and how you make it work, I have no idea, because you'll be talking to people with a big smile on your face, and you'll turn over to your cell phone and go, he likes chicken wings and chicken tenders, this, that, and the other, and talking about your kids, and then hang up the phone and then turn and go, oh, hey, how are you? It's like you turn it on and turn it off, like nobody I've ever seen before. So it's got to be a tough balance.
It's fun. I tell myself that there really isn't an exact balance, right? Like sometimes work is going to be higher and sometimes family is going to be higher. And I figure as long as I don't stay one way too long, then we're doing okay. And I want family to be mostly higher. And I also don't really know different. I mean, Luca wasn't even born yet when I started in the industry, and Levi was 1 when I got my last. So I've been in the industry since he was 1 and been traveling since he was 1. So I don't really know any different. It's okay. It's fun.
Well, you're making it work, girl, and you're building a business. I mean, I remember when you took over the business, it was struggling to say the least. And, it wasn't one of the top magazines that I would pick up and the top, brands. And I will tell you that everybody talks about it now. I watch your podcast. I open up the book, not only to see the articles, but you do a really good job with the advertising too, because I like seeing the new equipment, the new stuff like that, kind of keep it fresh. So yeah, great job.
I always like hearing from people that say, you're not the first person that I've heard say, I actually like looking through and seeing who the advertisers are. So I appreciate hearing that. I'm sure other advertisers appreciate hearing that as well. So yeah. Well, Rocky, congrats on all of your success. I love seeing you and Cameron and Leah and whoever else is at the shows. I know I'm going to see you probably in a few weeks in Canton. And so it's always great catching up with you. Thanks for your time today. And I look forward to seeing you again soon.
All right, Michelle. All right. Keep it real and keep that balance. All right. All right. Thanks, sir. See you guys.
For more Restoration Today and the latest news, visit our website, cnrmagazine.com. And find the latest episodes of the Restoration Today podcast on your favorite podcasting platform.